Welcome to UNCAGED, the Tiger Schulmann's podcast. I am today's host, Rick Ruffman, owner of Tigear, provider of all things Tiger Schulmann's, and co-hosting with me today is ex-professional soccer player, director of social media for Tiger Schulmann's, and daughter to the Tiger Schulmann, Danielle Schulmann.
Hello.
We are joined today by the winner of The Ultimate Fighter Season 27. He is fighting November 12th in Madison Square Garden. He is the Lone Wolf, Mike Trizano. Hey, Mike.
What's up, guys? How are you?
How you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Can't complain.
So, be honest, what's a bigger honor, fighting in Madison Square Garden in November or being our first guest on UNCAGED?
I tell you what, being the first guest, finally I'm getting spoiled.
Thank you for being honest. This is a huge fight for actually both of you guys, right? You both coming off two big losses.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a kind of a make or break fight for both of you, no?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is my last fight on my UFC contract, so, you know, I definitely need to perform big time. You know, obviously a win is necessary. You know, I tried to win my last fight. I'm always trying to win, obviously, but, you know, getting fight of the night, my last fight was great, but it would have been better to be on the winning side. But again, yeah, it's like my back's against the wall a little bit, and just got to go out there and do my thing. But fighting at Madison Square Garden has always been a goal of mine, so I'm excited to finally fight in front of a full crowd this time, because my last few fights haven't been.
Last time you fought with the crowd was when?
2019. Yeah, so it's been...
In Vegas?
No, it was in Rochester. Yeah, that was the last time I fought with the crowd, and then I was out for a while. And then COVID happened and all that crap, so...
What's the difference, like, in the feel of it?
I mean, it hits everybody different, but I like it because I feel like I feed off the crowd. When you walk out, like, that's part of the whole experience, is you're walking out and the place is just erupting and, like, you're just running through. You see everybody and you see the cage just lit up, and it turns that switch. And I miss it. I miss it. I'm really excited to do it, and even more excited to do it at the Mecca of fighting. So I'm real pumped.
Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Rocky Marciano.
Don't forget Mike Trizano.
Mike Trizano. Well, you didn't let me get there. Well, okay, let's go back. So you're 17.
Yeah.
And you started training at Tiger Schulmann's.
Correct.
How did that happen?
Or why?
So I always wanted to fight. Like when my dad first showed me Rocky when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I want to do that. He's like, no, you don't. He's like, no, you don't. You don't want to get in there. And but I always like loved it, and I always thought of fighting as boxing. So like I at the time I wasn't like big into mixed martial arts. I didn't really know about it. Like, I was more of like an athlete with other sports. Like I played sports my whole life: baseball, football, basketball, lacrosse. Like I did everything. And but I wanted to fight. So one of my friends in high school, his mom was training at Tiger Schulmann's just for the workout. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, my mom trains, but they have a really good fight team, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You should go try it out. So I was like, all right. So I went and took a class with them. And I was dead tired in like under 2 minutes. Done. Spent. And I was like, holy crap, this is for me. And then that was it. I was hooked. And I wanted to come back again and again and again. So that's it. One class, that's all it took.
So that's about the time I knew Mike, because him and my sister went to high school together and they were friends. Tell everyone what you're more scared of than that.
There's nothing worse than... let's get one thing straight, okay? If it's... Ghosts are real, okay? And if you can't physically hit something, I'm afraid of it.
That is scary. I agree with you.
Think about it.
But I don't know if I believe in them or I don't. It's kind of like unknown.
Listen, when I was looking for houses, okay, my first question every time was, did someone die here and is it haunted? Because I think legally they're supposed to tell you, because if If I had one circumstance where something happened, it's on the market. Like, I ain't pulling one of that scary movie crap where like they stay in the house for months even though the hauntings are going on. You're out of your mind. If one thing happens, I don't care what time it is, I'm out. Gone.
So they're legally obligated to let you know if a house is haunted.
I believe so. I believe so.
We have to check on that.
Yeah,
And I'm telling you right now, I've been in my house. So December will be 1 year I've been in my house. I have not had anything happen yet.
No ghosts.
If one thing happens on the market, it doesn't matter what happens. I don't give a shit.
Wait, but you have to tell them about the story that you told me with your mom.
Oh, so my mom and my brother are very like in tune with ghosts. Like they see them all the time. Me and my dad don't see anything. And my mom one time, so my mom and my dad lived in the city, and this was before I was born. So I think it was in the 80s. And they were living in this apartment. An old woman had lived in that apartment beforehand, and I think she passed away in that apartment. So that was their first problem right there. They should never have moved in. But I wasn't there to tell them. So my mom would wake up like every night. And also mistake number 2, they had a rocking chair in the corner of their room. They're out of their mind.
Why?
Exactly.
Why? You can have a rocking chair anywhere.
Out of their
house.
mind. So she would wake up in the middle of the night at the same time every night. I don't remember what time it was, but usually like the witching hours, like 3 a.m. or something like that. So she would wake up in the middle of the night, and there'd be an old woman rocking in the rocking chair. And she would be like, when you wake up and you see something like that, like you're frozen. Like you can't do anything. You're just frozen in fear. So like that went on for a while, and eventually she just worked up the courage to finally, like one night she woke up, lady was rocking in the rocking chair, and she worked up the courage to say, "What do you want?" And all she did was point to the closet. And I'm getting chills right now. And I'm like,
Me too.
And she obviously didn't say anything else. She was like, "God damn, I gotta go back to sleep." So she went back to sleep. The next morning, my dad goes to work, and she's like rummaging in the closet, like trying to find out like why the hell did she point in the closet. And she found like a hidden compartment in the closet, and in the compartment was just like a container of all silverware, like old silverware. And on the silverware, they had the initial T on it. And that's our initial T, the last name, Trizano. And I think the old woman wanted my mom to have the silverware because it had our initials on it. And I guess she wanted someone to have it because it was left there. And I'm pretty sure the woman that lived there beforehand, her last name started with T. And my mom still has silverware to this day. Why?
Wow.
Crazy. Send me a picture of that.
I got to see if she had it, because they moved a bunch of times. It might be in storage, but I got to ask her.
That story in high school might have set me off to be on my, like, I couldn't sleep in my room alone. I needed to sleep with my sister. Like,
You
I
would have
couldn't
had to
go
have
in the
moved out,
house.
I think.
When no one was home, I would wait outside for people to get home. You messed me up.
Oh man.
God.
But that stuff is creepy. Like listen, like if there's a ghost, like I can't beat it up. I can't hit it.
No.
That's it. I'm done. I'm seeing you later.
But do you? I don't know anyone that like a ghost actually did something bad to them.
Thank
just,
God
like,
I don't
seeing.
know. I've never known somebody that's had like a demonic experience. Like
Oh God.
for that to happen, let's not talk about
Maybe
it.
it would be like Casper the ghost.
I hope so.
You remember him? You know who that
I'd
is?
still be scared.
You know, you've mentioned that you're very big into visualization.
Yeah.
How big a part do you think that plays in your success?
I think it's huge for anybody that's fighting or competing at a high level in any type of sport. It majority of the time, whether it's fighting or other sports, fighting specifically, the mental game is like 90% of it. You know, everybody can fight, but wins and losses really come at who's more mentally strong. You know, who's willing to take that extra step, who's really to push further than the other person. And being able to visualize yourself in the cage, in the fight, months before that happens, that I think makes you feel a little bit more comfortable when you're in there, because you feel like you've already been there. You know, and the mental game is very important to me. I always try and visualize it. Like every time I go to spar, I always try and make it feel like a fight. I always try and give myself those butterflies, like the nerves and everything like that, like I get before a fight. I try and get as close to that as possible when I'm training, because obviously it's not the same, but I got to try and almost trick my mind into thinking that it is the same. So that way when I get in there, I'm used to it. I'm familiar with it. It's not this like far off thing that I'm not used to, and it just makes it easier for me to be comfortable when I'm in there.
You're trying to mentally put yourself in that situation before it happens.
Yep.
And so far, has it worked out? Like when you
So far, yeah. I mean, when I had first started training, I think it was Louis Gaudino that was doing The Ultimate Fighter. He got on the show on season 14, and that was like right around. I think I've been training like a year, 2 years at that point, and I had told Sensei Rapport, who was my instructor at the time, I told him, I was like, I want to get on The Ultimate Fighter, and I'm going to win season 25. And I said that to him. And at the time, they were at season 14, and I said, I'm going to win season 25. He's like, all right, you got to train hard. And I had just been working my ass off for that constantly, over and over again. That was in my mind, season 25, season 25. And then I was just 2 seasons off, but I won it regardless.
That's
That's
actually
cool.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's a true story. I told him that like years before. I think it was like I maybe had one fight. Not even. I might not have even started competing yet. I was still green with training. And I was like, I'm going to win season 25.
Wow. That's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah.
Your trademark has become the American flag cowboy hat. Talk about how that came about.
That's also a funny story. So when I was in the house in The Ultimate Fighter, we weren't allowed to have anything. They took our wallets, they took our phones. We had no connection to the outside world at all. We weren't allowed to talk to anybody. It was just training 2 days and staying at the house. That was it. But we did have a request list that we could write what we needed from the grocery store or whatever, and they would go out and get it, obviously within reason. Like, we couldn't just write whatever down and they would bring it. But I wanted to walk out with an American flag and a cowboy hat. So I had wrote down on my request list, American flag, comma, cowboy hat. Maybe I forgot the comma or they just didn't see the comma. But the next day, I look in my cubby and there's an American flag cowboy hat in my cubby. I was like, oh, they kind of messed up. Whatever, I'll just run with it. And then that's how it happened. I was gonna walk out with just a regular cowboy hat, but
That's cool.
And now that's your
Do
thing.
you like it
now
better?
that's the thing. Yeah, I love it.
Mixed.
Hell yeah. Especially since they took away flags and walking out in the UFC. Now I just kind of like I'm operating in that gray area.
Why?
I think it has something to do with like the war in Russia, and they just don't want like I don't know.
So you can't carry an American flag to the ring.
But carrying a
No one
flag
can
is
carry their
freedom of
flags.
speech.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. It's whatever.
And how did you get involved in The Ultimate Fighter? How did you get on the show? What was it like?
So I had fought Bellator right before, and Bellator offered me like a multi-fight deal. I said I would think about it because I had only 6 fights as a pro, so I was still super young. I didn't want to like commit to anything right away, and I obviously, if I signed with Bellator, then UFC would be kind of out the door because they don't like people from Bellator, blah blah blah. So I kind of waited a few weeks, and then all of a sudden, so I forget who sent me a text message, but someone texted me a flyer, and it was tryouts for the next season of The Ultimate Fighter coming up in like November, I believe, of that year, and they were looking for guys that were at least 4-0 as a pro, and at least 4 fights and 4 wins, and you had to have an undefeated record. It was only undefeated people. So, I talked to Shion Tiger, and we were talking about it, and I told him I had literally nothing to lose. Like, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, and I don't make the show. Like, I'll just plan on fighting anyway. So I went and tried out, and the rest is history. But it was a pretty cool experience. They had me, so when I got there was 3 parts. First is we had to grapple in front of a bunch of the UFC matchmakers and other people. And I think it was like a couple UFC matchmakers. Like I know Sean Shelby was there. And then probably some directors of the show and stuff were watching. So they had you grapple for like a minute and a half. That's it. So like there's no time to like set, minute and a half, that's it.
That's nothing.
Nothing, yeah, no time to set up anything. So it's literally 0 to 100 right away. So I did my first, like they call you up, they call just random names and 2 people go and they grapple and then a minute and a half is up. They're like, all right, go to the side, and then I'm in a full room with all the other guys in the weight class that I was competing in, and finally there was like an odd number, and I think this helped benefited me because there was an odd number. They had called one guy, and then they're like, oh, who wants to jump in? And I just jumped right in. So I did another match where other people didn't do more than one. So I think they looked good on that. And then after that, they called out a bunch of names, and if your name wasn't called, that's it, go home, you're done. So then once they called our names, we went to the next stage was we just hit pads for 2 minutes in front of them. That was it. And it was everyone hit pads at the same time in like a small, it was like a small little venue, and there was like no room to do anything. So
just jiu-jitsu and just hitting pads, no actual sparring or anything.
No, they weren't.
That's weird, kind of, right? Like,
Yeah,
because people can hit the pads really nice, but
yes, but again, you got a bunch of dudes in there. You're gonna have these guys spar. It's gonna get out of hand quick, you know. So, so same thing. You hit the pads for 2 minutes. They called a bunch of names. If they didn't call your name, see you later. And then the last stage was they literally just did an interview. I guess they just wanted to see how you talked in front of people and in front of a camera and all that. So they just asked a bunch of different questions, pretty basic stuff like where you from, you know, blah, blah, blah. They also asked me specifically, they're like, so what, I saw you fought Bellator. What's going on with that? Like they were asking me specifically about that. And I told them, I was like, Bill, the opportunity came up. I took the fight. It was just a 1-fight thing. They offered me a multi-fight deal, but I wanted to keep my options open, and that's that. So I don't really have any ties to anything. They're like, okay. And then that was it. And then I went outside. We waited for like an hour or two. And like this whole process was like all day. So I would get there at like 9 a.m. And this was in Vegas, and it was just the whole day. And I didn't leave there until like 8 o'clock at night. And eventually they called a bunch of names. And I think we finished with, I want to say there's 32 people that finished. And I think there was like a couple thousand guys that tried out. And 32 guys finished. So if you got called after the last stage, the 32 people stayed, and we stayed the rest of the week. And they just made us do medical stuff just to make sure that we were healthy enough to do the show and all that kind of crap. And then once we were done with that, I think it was, I went there on like a Tuesday, and then that Friday, after we were done with all our medicals, they pretty much told us, all right, we'll call you and let you know if you made it. And that was it. And they were going to cut it down to 16.
So 16 make it to the house?
16 make it to the house, yeah. And they had specifically said, because like in the past shows, you had to fight to get into the house. But they haven't done that actually in a while, I don't think. So for our show, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but they said if we call you, then you're just on the show. So you're already in the house.
So you make the finals.
Yeah.
You fly home. Then you fly back. You flew back out with your now wife.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened at the airport when you were flying back out there? What's the real reason why you won?
So what happened was I ran into this really good-looking guy and his wife, and he just happens to be sitting right here.
Really good-looking wife and a guy, is that what you mean?
And we took a picture, and then the rest is history, man. It's good luck.
And I told you that when I take a picture with a guy before his fight, he wins.
So then the last 2 times I've fought, it's your fault from you not being in the airport when I took a picture, when I was able to take a picture.
Well, we're going to do it today. We're going to do it today before we leave. I know you guys do a lot of preparation, pre-fight, as far as a game plan, studying your opponents.
Yeah.
How important has it been for you to have Schulmann involved in your training, being there when you fight, all that?
It's very important. I mean, he's been with me since day one. Ever since I started coming to headquarters and training and being part of the fight team, he's been there coaching me, helping me improve every single time. And it's good to have different eyes and different approaches on the opponent. And I love that when we watch film and stuff and we kind of go back and forth. Like I'll watch film before we watch it together, and he'll do the same thing, and we kind of take notes, and then we'll watch it together, and we'll go back and forth talking about what we should do, what's the best approach to the guy I'm facing, and I think we have a good system going, and I mean,
I want to hear about the coaches, like differences in their coaching styles and personalities, and how you vibe differently with all of them. Ray, Shion, Ron.
Yeah, so Ray is very straightforward, and I like it because I don't like anyone sugarcoating my stuff. Like if I mess up, tell me I messed up. If I'm doing something terrible, tell me I'm doing it terrible. If I'm doing something good, all right, tell me I'm doing it good. But don't beat around the bush, you know. And I think Ray is very straightforward, and I like it. Some people might not like it, but I love it because I want that honesty, because it's a fight game. You can't mess around with it because, you know, we're putting our lives at risk. So for my safety, I need the honesty. You know, I want him to tell, okay, you're dropping your hand and you're not throwing it right. Okay, I'm gonna fix it. You know, and I like that constructive criticism. You know, I like when people are hard on me because it makes me push myself. I don't need people telling me, oh, you're so good, you're so good. Like, no, don't. Like, tell me what I need to work on. I know I'm good, but tell me what I need to get better at. You know, you can always get better.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I love when Ray's coaching me, and he's straightforward. Schulmann, Ron, he's a little bit more laid back, but he has a very good technical approach to what I'm doing, and he always gives me good techniques and stuff to do, and when we're making a game plan, like he's got a good approach to how we're gonna do it, and like every game plan I've put together with him, it's been a great game plan. You know, the only thing is I gotta make sure I do it when I'm in there. You know, you can talk about it all you want, you gotta be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, the best fighters in the world, and everybody's good at fighting, but it's the people that make the least amount of mistakes and execute their game plan to a T. Those are the ones that are successful. So if you don't execute your game plan and you let the other guy execute his game plan, well, you're not going to be successful. You know,
And he's extremely technical.
Yeah, and I love it. So.
And how about Tiger?
He gets me amped. Like he's like, you got to get vicious. You got to get mean, and you got to go in there. And then I always tell him to just smack me up before I get in the cage. So every time I get in, like right before I'm going to get in there, he's fucking smacking me up and getting me going. And it's like the hype man. I love it. But he's very technical too. Like he gives me all the same coaching that Schulmann gives me, like all the technical stuff. But he gets the fire lit. Like he did that today. He told me today. He's like, I came to train, and he's like, I don't want you doing anything today. You're just going to spar 3 rounds today, and I want you to be mean. I want you to go in there and fight. I was like, okay. And I did way better today than I did on Wednesday. I mean, I could always do better, but he gets me in that mode, and I love it.
Can you relate to that, Danielle?
And I think all 3 of them together is a great combination. You got someone who's more laid back, but gives you the technical approach. You got somebody who's straightforward and honest, and then you got somebody who's going to get you amped up and fired up to get in there. You know, I think it's a great combination.
Who's your biggest inspiration?
My grandfather. He is. This is the only sport he hasn't seen me play, or hasn't seen me fight. And I wish he could see me fight, because I know he would be there every single time. But he obviously passed away right before He passed away literally March of 2009, and I started training in July of 2009. Oh, man. I think that might be part of the reason why I started training. So.
That looks like you.
I know. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What was his name?
So, Ralph.
But he had a military haircut.
Well, that was back when he was in, he served in the Korean War. So, but yeah, he was a good man. So.
What was he doing in the Korean War? Like, what was his job?
So he manned those big 50 cal guns, like almost like a, I don't know the military terms for the guns, but like it's like this big like artillery cannon, and he armed those. So when he fought in the Korean War, there's actually, so my uncle Steven, who's one of my dad's youngest brother, he told me to read this book, and there's a book that talks about his unit in the army, and when he fought in the Korean War, the military almost like abandoned his unit because they got surrounded by Chinese.
Oh, that's crazy.
And they were pretty much just like leaving them, like it's a death wish to go take them out, and they had all these guns that they were manning and they had to protect, and they ended up fighting off all the Chinese and ended up coming back. Obviously he came back because I wouldn't be here if he didn't come back, but
That's crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
it's a
That's
wild
so
story.
cool.
Yeah.
You're married. Tell us about your wife.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
this is the fun stuff.
So we met college. I mean, I didn't really go to college, but she was friends with some of my friends that went to college. She went to William Patterson, and we just met mutually and started hanging out, talking.
Come on, what was the
dating.
first date?
So the first actual date I took her on is we went on like a little. I did this like sailboat on the Hudson. And it was actually pretty sweet. It was that one was during the day, so it was just like you sailed up the Hudson. They had like some drinks, I think, and music playing or whatever. It was just pretty cool. It was relaxing. And then fast forward, so we've been together almost 9 years now. So fast forward, I propose to her and I do the same thing. So I take her on the sailboat again. But we did it at night, and there was like a jazz band and everything. But she's very shy, doesn't like attention. So, and I'm the complete opposite. So she was like we had been talking a little bit about like getting married, whatever. And she's like, oh, if you're gonna propose to me, like, don't make a scene. Like I don't want to get embarrassed. Like blah blah blah. So
She wanted something private.
yeah, and I started in my head. I already knew what was going on. I had talked to her mom and stuff, told her what was going to happen, and I told my parents too. And so we went on the boat, and like I'm nervous now. Like I'm more nervous doing this than I was getting into a cage and fighting somebody. So like I'm panicking. I'm like, shit. And I didn't think she was going to say no, but I was just more nervous. Like, oh, should I make a scene or should I not? Because there was a jazz band, and what I was going to do is I was going to like try and take the mic from the jazz band and then like make a whole thing on the boat. And then I was like, oh, I can't do that to her. She'll freaking die. So I ended up we were on the boat. There's other people on the boat and everyone's doing their own thing because it's actually a pretty decent sized boat. And yeah, I just took it easy.
Wait, so it was not just you two on the boat?
Yeah, there was just random people on the boat. Yeah, there was other people. It was like a big boat. Yeah, it wasn't like a private just for us.
Okay.
Yeah. There was other people on the boat too. But
So she said
Did
yes
she
right
cry?
away. Shouldn't have to take the weekend.
yeah, but it's funny because I took a knee. I asked her to marry me because she knew I was acting weird because I like the whole time I was like just acting weird, like telling her how much I love her, blah blah blah, and she's like, she's acting so weird. This is so suspicious. So I took a knee and I asked her to marry me, and she's like, yes, now get up. She's like, I don't want anyone to see this. She's like panicking that people are gonna start cheering and clapping.
And you've been married, what, 8 years?
No. We've been together 8 years. We got married last July. Not this past July before that. So a little over a year.
So then kids?
Yes, so big announcement. Gonna be having a baby boy in February.
Wow.
So the lone wolf no more.
A little wolf.
That's so
That's
exciting.
it.
A
Yeah,
cub.
no, I'm excited.
Are they called cubs? No, a pup.
Wolf pup, yeah.
A pup?
Cubs,
Wolf
I
pup.
think.
A little pup? A tiger?
Tiger, yeah. We went hunting in the plains of South Africa. Freaking greatest trip I've ever been on. Amazing. We'd
How
wake
long
up.
were you there for?
It was all my whole family. So all my cousins, and this was on my dad's side, and so like there was like 16 of us, I think. So it was pretty split down the middle. Like 8 girls, 8 boys, and all the guys, we went hunting. All the girls they would do spas some days. You know, we were staying right on the Indian Ocean in South Africa. So we were on the west coast.
What'd you guys hunt?
All different types of antelope. Me specifically, I got, I think it was like 4 antelope and 2 types of monkeys.
Did you see any endangered animals while you were there? Like rhino, black rhino?
So I didn't see any rhino, but the hunting rhino is different. So you're not allowed to kill them. If you want to hunt them, it's purely a tranquilizer gun. So you literally, all you do is you find it, you tranquilize it, put it to sleep, you take a picture with it, and then you just leave it, and it wakes up.
What's the point of that?
It's
really?
Stupid, and
that's stupid.
but it also costs like $100,000 to dart the rhino.
Grand.
Yeah, it's called
Why
darting.
Do you dart around? Can you just leave him alone, like in his own space? If you want to eat him, I get it. You
ever been tranquilized? Probably a good nap. You probably needed it. But no, I think it's stupid. Like I personally wouldn't hunt like something endangered, but everything we shoot, we eat. That's the one thing I didn't eat though, because I don't want to like get a disease. Is I didn't eat the monkey.
Why? They get diseases from eating monkeys?
You're eating another ape.
I don't know.
I hear monkey tastes like chicken.
I mean, the natives will probably eat it. They eat everything.
Can you show what he caught, please? You need me to come over there and fix the computer? Okay.
Mike, tell us what we're looking at here.
All right, so a picture on the left, that was one of the plains or one of the fields I was hunting on. So we would kind of just find a spot and sit and wait for the animals to come in. And we had tracked, so that picture specifically, the picture on the right is what I was looking for at the time. That's called a kudu. So that thing is super big animal. It's probably like 500-600 pound antelope. It's also called the gray ghost.
That thing looks gigantic.
They're very difficult to find, hence the name gray ghost.
Was that a baboon in the middle?
Yeah, that was a baboon. That was a wild hunt. So, quick story. I had been dying to get a baboon, and they were very difficult to find. And the farmers want you to get rid of them because a lot of the farms we were hunting on are all like citrus farms. So you got oranges, lemons, limes, whatever. And the monkeys come down from the mountains and just destroy all their crops. And then they're shitting everywhere, and they're throwing all the peels all over the place and making a mess. So like the farmers want you to get rid of them. And there's so many of them. It's not like there's one pack and then they're endangered. No, they're everywhere.
They're all over.
And they're vicious. Like a fun fact, the canine teeth of a baboon's are bigger than a lion's, which is wild to think about. Wow. It's crazy. So we're driving down this dirt road along the side of these mountains, and all of a sudden you just see a pack of baboons running along the cliffside. So we're in the truck, and the cliffside is probably 700 yards away. And my professional hunter's like, we're going to take a shot from here. He's like, you can hit it. So I aim, and he just tells me to aim like a foot above the specific baboon, that one specifically that we were going to shoot, and just to cover the distance. And I shoot, and I miss it by like this much, but they scatter. So something about baboons is like they have like a scout in their pack that watches out for danger and that kind of stuff. So the pack of baboons, all of them went over the cliff and just ran to the other side of the mountain. So we are like, all right, let's cut them off. So we drive around, and we get to the other side of the face of the mountain, and we get out, and we start walking. And I'm on this cliffside, and we're walking, it's like this. So like if I'm standing, I could literally just lean back like this, and I'm on the side of the mountain. Like it's so steep.
Like fall? Like you could fall off the
Like you
side
could
of the
fall, like far.
Oh my God.
So we're hiking this mountain, trying to see if we can cut the pack off. And all of a sudden, we just sit for a minute, and because we were also looking for another small type of antelope that is only found high in the mountains. So we were trying to see if we could see one. And all of a sudden, the scout baboon comes up from behind us, and he had circled our car, went behind us, came up the opposite ridge, and he was probably going to meet with his pack to tell him where we were. It was wild. Like he circled our car. He went all the way around behind us and was following us. as we were going up the mountain. So he knew where we were the whole time.
Don't tell me this is the one you killed.
But, so he's walking up the mountainside and he's like, all right, this is the one. So I'm standing and leaning back on the mountain. I have to freehand shoot. And it's like a 380-yard shot, far. Freehand, leaning up against a cliffside. As it goes up the mountainside, boom, I hit it back shoulder, knock it right off the cliff. It falls off the side of the mountain. It took us 2.5 hours to hike up, get it. Wow. It had landed on like a little ledge on the side of the cliff.
He was the protector.
No, he wasn't.
You killed the protector?
He was a scout.
The scout?
Yeah.
He was the lookout.
He was the lookout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now it's okay.
But it was a crazy, crazy hunt. Just the terrain we were on was just wild.
That's
awesome.
Wow.
Insane. Okay, so this is going to be about your teammates or team, like anyone, coaches, anyone you train with. I want to know who you would choose and why. Okay, here we go. Which of your teammates or team members would you want with you in a street fight? You have a 3-on-2. You get to pick one teammate.
Lyman.
Why?
Because he's a savage.
Okay.
And I know he's going to be armed, so I'm ready to go. I'm going to be armed too.
Okay, next.
Which teammate doesn't know what a light day means?
What teammate doesn't know what a light day means? Oh, man. I'm going to say, sorry, Andy, but Andy Segovia.
Next.
He thinks he goes light, but he doesn't.
Which team member is the most frustrating to wrestle?
Julio.
Why?
He doesn't stop. He's like a never-ending cardio machine.
Who's not allowed on the aux during training?
Oh, Jimmy, 100%.
Why?
This has got like the same 5 songs.
What songs?
Oh man, they're just bad songs. It's like I can't personally train to country music, and he blasts country music.
I would think you would only want to train to country music.
I love country music when I'm chilling out. I like listening to like metal and rock when I'm training.
So Jimmy, you can't be on the aux.
No way.
Next, who do you want with you stranded on a desert island?
I want stranded on a desert island. They would want me.
That is true. But who's going to help you?
Who's going to help me?
Or keep you company maybe? Like talk to you at night?
I would have to say Lewis because he would be a good entertainment. He's very funny. And I could probably eat him if worst case scenario.
Okay. You have to switch lives with one of your teammates. Who? Why? For a day.
For a day, right now, I'd probably switch with Shane. Because he's a dad and I'm about to be a dad and I'd like to experience it. It's kind of like a trial.
That's cool. I like that.
Good answer.
Yeah, that was
Very
awesome.
good answer.
That was fun. It was fun talking to you.
Mike, thanks so much for coming in. We wish you all luck in the world, November 12th.
Hell yeah.
We'll be watching. Maybe we'll be there. And best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
See you guys.